All right, hello everybody, welcome. We are in our second lesson today. This lesson is on applying the order of operations. We can highlight that. Watch this highlighter. We are going to apply the order of operations. Our target today, by the end of the period, by the end of this video, you will be able to state the order of mathematical operations and use it to evaluate an expression. So you've probably seen something like this before. This is going to be a little bit of review for you. Yesterday you were evaluating expressions, but they were all simple one-step things. Today we're going to be doing multi-step expressions. So when we have multi-step expressions, things with more than one operation being done, mathematicians, to avoid confusion, established an order of operations to evaluate an expression that has that more than one operation. Because if you have something that is say 3 plus 4 times 2, what am I supposed to do first? Should I, as a mathematician, should I add the 3 and the 4 first, or should I multiply the 4 and the 2 first? And they said, well, to avoid confusion, let's just come up with a way that we're going to do it all the time, so that there's no vagueness, right? No reason to, so that if everybody does it the same way, then when I ship something overseas to you, you know what's going on because we did it the same way. Okay, so that order of operations is as follows. Step 1 is to evaluate expressions inside grouping symbols. And when we say grouping symbols, we mean parentheses or brackets or absolute value signs, right? There's stuff inside here. Or a square root sign, which we'll do those eventually. Or even a fraction bar, right? A fraction bar is also considered a grouping symbol, where there's a group above and a group below. So evaluating expressions inside grouping symbols is our first step. Our second step is to evaluate powers, and we talked about what a power was yesterday. We want to do the powers next. After that, we multiply and divide from left to right. And then from the last thing we do is our addition and subtraction. So we start by doing our grouping symbols, and inside of our grouping symbols, we actually follow these 3 steps. So if we have a power and a multiplication and division, we follow that same thing again. Do your powers first, then multiply, divide, then add, subtract within the grouping symbols. So let's do a couple of examples here. Our first example, this is going to have a little bit of everything in it. 27 divided by 3 squared times 2 minus 3. So notice that on this particular example, we have a power here, we have division here, we have multiplication here, and we have subtraction here. So we have several different steps that need to be taken. So we're going to do grouping symbols first, and we're going to look and just check, are there grouping symbols? Parentheses, no. Brackets, no. We have the fraction bar with no operations inside, so that's fine. We're not going to do that. The next thing we're going to do is powers. The powers, 3 squared, right? We're going to do that one first. So 27 divided by 9 times 2 minus 3. So we've done the powers step. And now we need to multiply and divide. And we do that from left to right. So we're going to start here with this 27 divided by 9, and that's 3. And then we're going to do 3 times 2, which is 6 minus 3. And then finally, our last step is to add and subtract. And we do that left to right also. So this is 3. So we did our powers first, and then we did our division, and then we did our multiplication, and we did our subtraction. Following this order up here, grouping symbols, powers, multiplication, division. Oh, I did circle that. Oops. Which, by the way, we also sometimes say PEMDAS. PEMDAS is like the P stands for parentheses. I kind of like saying grouping symbols though, because there's more than one type of grouping symbols. So we really could call it GEMDAS, but that sounds awkward. So it sounds like an enemy in like a fantasy movie. GEMDAS. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next example, which oh, I've already mentioned these things here, but you know, parentheses, brackets, fraction bar, absolute value, radicals. We said those things already. Let's see. Let's do an example. Here we go. Grouping symbols examples. So 7 times 13 minus 8. I'm going to do my grouping symbols first. So inside this parentheses, that's 7 times 5. So that's 35. What about 24 minus 3 squared plus 1? Within our grouping symbols, we have two different operations happening here. We have the exponents and the addition. I do the exponents first. I follow that same order within the grouping symbol. So that's 9 plus 1. And then that's 24 minus inside the grouping symbol, 10. And then that's 24 minus 10. Oops, I didn't write that. 24 minus 10 is 14. So there's my answer there. There's my 35 right there. Oops, dropped my pen. I broke my pen. Oh no. Hold on. Wait. Okay. We're good? It still works. Excellent. Let's do one more example. Actually, let's do two more examples. And we're going to erase these. And let's do this one. 2 times, remember, if there's no sign, we assume there's a multiplication. 2 times 30 minus 8 plus 13, and then another closed bracket. Notice that I've got the parentheses brackets here and the brackets. So we're going to start on the inside of the inside. So this needs to be done first, right? The grouping gets done before we multiply the 2. But in order to do that grouping, we need to get the grouping that's inside there. So this is 2 times 30 minus 21 in the bracket. And now we can do this part, which is 2 times 9, which is 18. So if you have multiple sets of grouping symbols, do the furthest inside of the grouping symbols. All right, and our last problem here. Oh, don't go back to Google Classroom yet. Our last problem here is this: 9x over 3 times x plus 2 when x equals, let's make it 4. Yeah, let's make it 4. Notice that this is a combination of what we did yesterday and the order of operations. We have grouping symbols that need to get done down here, but I need to first plug in the x. So this is 9 times 4 over 3 times 4 plus 2. And now I'm going to do my grouping symbols. 9 times 4. That's one of my grouping symbols right here is in my fraction bar. And then that's the other one here. So I can kind of do this step, the top. I can simplify that. That's 36. And then I need to simplify the bottom, which is 3 times 6. Well, 3 times 6 is 18. And then at last I can do the division at the end. And that's 36 divided by 18, which is 2. So my solution is 2. And that's everything I got for you today. You need to go back to your Google Classroom There's going to be some examples there for you to do, and then the homework is going to be posted straight after that. Thank you very much for paying attention today, guys. And again, if you have questions, please let me know. I am available for you. We will talk to you later. Bye.